Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your engineer, Kate, and joining me for this episode is Brandon.
Hello, hello.
Kestrel.
Hi.
Mark.
Hey.
And Kane.
Hello, hello.
And we are here to talk about the 2025 summer season of anime, which just ended. Basically, might be one lingering episode from one show that only I am watching. So, we have a lot of shows, some very, very good shows. Summer ended up being a very solid season, which is great because fall looks like there's not a heck of a lot going on, aside from sequel.
Agreed.
God. This season was too stacked, bro.
Yeah.
Everything is too stacked right now. It's ridiculous. So, first news.
Yeah. So first piece of news that I got here is the announcement of the anime adaptation of Tatsuki Fujimoto's early works. It's going to be called Tatsuki Fujimoto 1726. For those who aren't familiar, that's the creator of Chainsaw Man, Look Back. And so it's going to be, an anthology series where each of his little short stories are adapted by a different studio, different staff, and it's going to be released on Amazon Prime Video on November 7th. It's going to premiere here in LA in a few days, so I'm going to go check that out. They also vaguely made it sound like Fujimoto would be there, which I don't believe, but we'll see this weekend. But yeah,
does he do public appearances?
No,
would not have
never.
I would not expect him to be there.
Yeah, but they made a post that I feel like got lost in translation a few times to turn hey, new anime adaptation of Tatsuki Fujimoto's works with Q&A by producer into Q&A by Tatsuki Fujimoto.
Yeah, that's not great.
But we'll see. Maybe he'll be there.
Yeah. I did not really expect these to get an anthology, at least not while Chainsaw Man was going on, so that's a bit of a pleasant surprise. It's definitely a mixed bag, but I think that can be said about most anthologies, so I'm looking forward to it. I think this, if anything, only means that inevitably we will get a Fire Punch adaptation.
Right. It's kind of crazy this happened first.
God, please don't spare the universe the Fire Punch.
Oh, it's happening, don't you worry.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember reading through part of Fire Punch mainly because Kate said not to do it. So then I proceeded to do it like a child, and it wasn't too bad that I recalled. Now I didn't get very far in it, so who knows if it falls apart. But it was fine. It had some edgelordiness to it, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever read. So I would cautiously give a Fire Punch adaptation a chance.
It is so utterly edgy and ridiculous and dumb and edgy.
That's the main problem. So, is there a lot of material? Like, did he have a lot of stuff in this time frame that I don't know a whole lot about him? Like, obviously, I bounced off Chainsaw Man when it was airing, and I've been meaning to go back and maybe give it another go. But other than Goodbye Area, I really don't know anything else. So, was he pretty prolific during this time period, or is this one of those? There's like 3 or 4 that can be made into 10 to 15 minute segments or something.
So there's 2 volumes of these. It's 4 per volume? So 8? Something like that?
Yeah, they're both volumes are about as big as like a normal single Shonen Jump volume.
Right.
Yeah, there's probably 4 or 5 stories in each of them, and yeah, I would say 10 to 15 minute animation for each. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, it is 8, and they confirmed they're adapting all 8. So, yep.
That's cool. I'll give it a shot. I've been generally a fan of anthologies, like, fucking Memories, Genius Party, etc., etc. I've always liked them just
Animatrix.
from like Animatrix. Yeah.
Star Wars Visions.
Yeah. That's one I haven't watched because I'm not huge into Star Wars in particular, but I do like the short animation, the short story as a medium, especially if they're put all together as a movie. I find them nice little like palette cleansers of sorts. Plus, I do think it's a nice test of like a director and animator, as well as like the main story's like crew's skill in a way to try to get you emotionally invested in something that's 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So. I feel like there's not a lot of room for risks in the current industry, so it's like this is like a place where people can animate weirder stories with like more weird animation too.
Yeah, Robot Carnival's another good one too.
Yeah, true.
That's a really good point. Actually, Brand too. It's one of the few avenues where they can take some chances and do some weird stuff, because at the end of the day, even if it bombs, it was 10 minutes in one part of an anthology. It wasn't like a whole series or a whole movie or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It will be cool to see all the different interpretations. And yeah, I'm sure we will have a Fire Punch anime before long, and hopefully a Goodbye Eri adaptation.
Yeah, I need that.
Because I think the Chainsaw Man movie just came out in Japan and is coming out in the US soon. So lots of Fujimoto all around. Also, just a reminder that not only was Fire Punch from the creator of Chainsaw Man, but also working on it were the creators of Spy Family, Hell's Paradise, and Dandadan.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
That's amazing.
We all know how edgy all of those are. Especially Spy Family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the edgiest.
Edgelord Anya.
Alright. Next piece of news, speaking of big anime films coming to the US, Demon Slayer's out. It is, of course, the biggest thing ever. Came out in US theaters. Well, it got like its early premiere screening, I think 3 weeks ago today. So it's been out in full release for about 2.5 weeks as of this recording. This is September 30th, 2025, just after 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So all of these numbers will be totally wrong by the time you hear this. But as of right now, it has, broken basically all the records that we expected it to break, pretty much all of which were previously held by its predecessor, Mugen Train. Some of them by other stuff. So let's see. We've got, obviously, it passed highest grossing anime film of all time, which also means highest grossing Japanese film of all time, because all the top ones are animated. Mugen Train got just over 500 million worldwide. Infinity Castle Part 1 has got over 600 million worldwide so far. Still going very strong. It's been number 1 in the US since its release, I believe. And it just passed a couple more of the top of 2025 worldwide. So just passed, past Fantastic Four First Steps a little bit ago, and then more recently passed Mission Impossible and Superman. So it's sitting at about 620 million right now. Should pass F1 within a day, and probably How to Train Your Dragon within a week. So that should sit it at number 5 overall for the year. Also, second highest grossing traditionally animated film of all time after The Lion King. Highest grossing film based on an animated TV series. Highest grossing R-rated film. And then specifically in the US, it passed Pokemon, the first movie's 25 plus year record for both opening weekend and within a week or two domestic gross. So that was highest grossing anime film in the US for over a quarter of a century, and had the highest opening weekend as well. The only thing that it hasn't passed Mugen Train on yet is actually highest gross in Japan. So Mugen Train is still the highest grossing film in Japan, whereas Infinity Castle is number 2 so far by a little bit. But yeah, that's where it's sitting right now.
That's crazy.
The important thing to learn from all of that is that animated movies just don't make money.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Especially ones with that kind of rating based on
Right.
original IP. Nope, we can't ever.
Yeah,
that
no.
can't happen.
Yeah, and like 2D animated part like in any form of it, no sir,
Yeah.
can't be.
You know what else is just the worst? Anything made outside of America.
Yeah.
Mhm.
An anime film so successful that Trump had to tariff all foreign films
Yes,
like
absolutely.
immediately after its success.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think this is really going to be the big bread and butter for this series, because if you can say anything about the ending of Demon Slayer is that it is action on action on action. So
Yeah.
this from the movies and the type of hype they're going for, the table could not be set any better, and I'm sure they will execute very well in that regard. I have my own misgivings about the ending period, especially how the manga like ends, but in terms of all of the fights and fighting, it's pretty fucking peak. So I will happily see the movies based on that part alone. Though everyone knows the only reason that Demon Slayer is any good is the compositing and everything. So
I just hope I survive to see it to the final film.
Yeah.
What,
no word
like
yet
5
on...
more years?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that they'll let a year go by without any Demon Slayer. I don't know, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years in between each one. But I guess the question is, when do they do the inevitable TV cut of it? Is it between each film or after all of them are out? Because between each one could extend the life a little bit longer, where you can still have quote-unquote new Demon Slayer anime every year, but release these movies a little bit more spread out. But I don't know. I'm sure we'll
just
find out
animate a
before too long.
spin-off or something.
Yeah,
Demon
I'm
Slayer
surprised
Junior
they'll
High.
do it. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Surely soon.
Yeah, you know what we need is a Zenitsu spin-off. That's what everyone wants.
I wish that was not true, but Zenitsu is like legitimately the most popular character.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of likely to happen.
Yeah,
But,
almost definite.
yeah, I think based off what you're saying, I feel like it would make sense for them between films to kind of do the TV cuts of them just to kind of keep milking it. But it's the way it is.
They're gonna milk it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how that, like, obviously it'll be fine and people will watch it. I'm just speaking more of if they do that, like, how do you cut that into episodes without every episode just having a very abrupt end? Because it's going to be just nothing. It's going to be nothing but battles unless they have created the movie with, like, pregnant pauses with the idea that this is where we will cut to commercial and this is where we will cut the episodes off as we go.
I mean, didn't they do that with Mugen Train?
Yeah, they did exactly that with Mugen
Did
Train.
they? Is that?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the TV adaptation of it because I was like, yep, movie's fine. That's all I gotta see.
Too.
Yeah, I don't know why I gotta watch this again, but worse.
Basically it was the same, except I think there was like an extended part in the first episode.
Well, yeah, the first episode of the TV Mugen Train arc was completely original content. It just followed Rengoku, which you don't really care about unless you've already seen Mugen Train. But anyway, then throughout the episodes after that, they extended a few things and added a few things, but nothing substantial. But yeah, I would not be surprised at all if they planned it all going into it, because of course they did it for Mugen Train. Why wouldn't they do it for these ones?
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. But yeah, well, I'm excited to watch it when I get the chance to, just here at home. But
that's not contributing to this number, Kane.
That's fine. I'm cool with not contributing to the big number. I'm not a statistic. I'm a person.
I feel like this might be one of those cases though where they like purposefully kind of are obscure about when it will actually come to streaming, because I don't think they've really said that it's going to come to Crunchyroll anytime soon.
They've said that it will remain exclusive to theaters for the remainder of the year, so it'll be streaming sometime next year.
Yeah,
they've basically said that it will be on Crunchyroll, but might not be exclusive. But that no one will have it until 2026.
Interesting. Okay.
I've heard the expectation is May of 2026, but
oh wow,
but nothing has been that I've seen has been officially announced either.
Okay, guess I'll get my ass in a seat.
Yeah. Pump up those numbers.
Yeah.
Make the orange man angry. Alright. Next piece of news. We talked about this a little bit before. Steel Ball Run anime. We knew that it was happening. We knew that there was going to be a online press conference announcing more stuff about it. And so we got that on the date of the press conference of Steel Ball Run in Universe. And so they revealed the trailer, the cast, and that it will be coming in 2026. And the horses are not 3D, so yay.
Sort of.
Yeah. Well, they looked good.
Sort of.
That's the
They
important.
looked good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
For that teaser, anyway.
Yeah.
I will say I am like, I just have to like not pay attention to too much SBR news, because like the JoJo fandom has gotten big and mainstream enough that it's like with each announcement of something, even like a small trailer like this, like every JoJo like YouTuber and all these people are like, you know, dissecting and nitpicking like 30 seconds of like a trailer's animation and being like, oh, did they fuck up Johnny's character design and like all this crazy stuff. It's like, oh man, I just like the internet brain is going to like ruin any sense of enjoyment for something like this. So I'm going to try to just like keep myself off of it until it's actually out.
Yeah, the terminally online fan base is going to find a way to not enjoy it.
Exactly.
That's everything, to be
Right,
fair.
exactly.
It is. It is.
Anything with any sort of profile at all.
The internet ruins everything, so, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even watch trailers, mostly because, you know, seeing the same trailer of every movie coming out before every movie that I watch in theaters has ruined movies. But I needed to see that the horses were not too bad, so I did watch this, 30-second teaser.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and last thing I have, another thing that was announced, we talked about it, but there's more information now, and it is coming soon, which is Crunchyroll manga, not to be confused with Crunchyroll manga, not to be confused with Crunchyroll manga,
But what about Crunchyroll manga?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That's right. This version of Crunchyroll manga, which will certainly succeed and everyone will love it, is coming real soon. It's coming to apps first, which I don't really care about. That's going to be on October 9th, and then there will be the web version just a few days later on October 15th. And so it's going to be available to the highest tier, the Ultimate Fan, and then you can add it on for $4 to the regular tier, the bottom tier, or $350 for the intermediate tier Mega Fan. And so it's going to have stuff from Viz, Yen, Square Enix initially, and then they will eventually have stuff direct from Shueisha and Novel Club as well. Some of the launch titles are available elsewhere, but big titles that they're promoting include One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demons of the Shadow Realm, My Dress Up Darling, Summer Hikaru Died, Licorice Recoil, Delicious in Dungeon, Sasuke and Miyano, Tsukimichi, Maiden of the Dragon, and they have some screenshots with a bunch of other stuff, which, they've got a bunch of the big hits from Jump that, you can read over there anyway, but also other stuff like Apothecary Diaries is on there. So yeah, we'll see what it has for exclusives. For especially exclusive simulpubs, if it gets any of those, and what the experience is like, how well it does, how well they maintain it.
I'm curious about this because I feel like up until this point, most of the legal digital manga platforms have been publisher specific platforms. So this one being more of a congregate for multiple publishers, I guess I'm kind of weary how the library's gonna look and how that might affect are Viz titles going to be available both on this and the Shonen Jump app, or I don't know. So wearily waiting to see how it actually looks.
Yeah. I mean,
hasn't an issue been in the past? One of many, I suppose. Been Kester, what you were saying, the maintenance and upkeep, so to speak. I remember trying it once or twice way back when, and it was always oh, here's an interesting looking manga, and we have volume 3 to read.
Yeah. I mean, they never gave a shit about their manga service, which is why it always failed, and they always ended up killing it. Because, the UI was super outdated. There was no communication about new stuff coming out. They would just have random volumes, and then they would just remove series entirely without any forewarning. So there was a lot of problems with it in the past. They seem to be trying to make it a thing that they pretend to care about this time, so we'll see if it's any different. But yeah.
Well, considering how they keep fucking up everything else that has been working correctly and not, I don't have high hopes for this.
I mean, I will say this: just no matter what, it's better than K-manga already.
Well, that is true. It's hard to beat that in abysmalness, but
it's a low bar to clear.
Yeah.
So if they can get some Kodansha titles, which they have not mentioned, and historically they mostly had Kodansha titles, which then all got removed because Kodansha wanted to have them, then maybe I'll be more interested, because K-manga is so awful that I can't bring myself to use it.
Yeah, no way.
I remember you describing it to me once, and it sounded like a hellscape.
Yeah, it was even worse when I tried to actually use it. I ended up just giving them money to read what they had of Ippo, which was thankfully a fraction of what's out there, because if I had to do their stupid ass games or pay them for 1,500 chapters, that would have been a big problem. But now I can read it once a week for free. But yeah, it's real bad. So even not having a manga service, I'd say Crunchyroll has a better manga service than Kodansha right now. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, coming out in a few days, and then a few more days for web. So by the time we talk next, probably we'll have some idea of what to think about it. Yeah. And then, of course, we'll see what exclusives they end up getting down the road, hopefully. And yeah, that is all I had for news.
Cool beans. Well, we certainly have a good amount of shows to talk about. I know, as earlier in the episode, we were briefly commenting on the surprising amount of bangers that have appeared and some that are still airing in this season, depending on how you count this season, so to speak. But the first one I kind of want to hear about, especially since it's being watched by some folks that either don't get a chance to talk very often or are relatively new to the scene here. But I think I want to hear a little bit about Ruri Rocks, especially given the screenshot that Kate, you put in the chat the other day about how they boobified them.
Animators entirely horny on main at all times. Yeah, I convinced Mark to check the show out. So yay, I convinced one person to watch the show. Yay on me.
And I appreciate it. It was really good. It was a lot of fun.
It is a good show. It's like, what if PBS Science show, but with boom anime babes. So, that's the pitch there. I think that's why they kind of went and sexified the girls. It was because they were like, who's gonna watch this show about rocks? Unless we make these girls smoking hot. So yeah.
What do you say they have rockin' bods?
Rockin' bods.
Hey.
Woof. No, that's good though. That's good. That's bad, but that's good.
Yeah, no, it's it's definitely the kind of show where the mangaka Keiichiro Shibuya clearly has a passion for geology. And was just like, I want to share this with the world. How do I share this with the world? I'm going to draw cute anime girls playing with rocks and then nerd out over it. And it worked. It was really good.
I think I don't remember if I saw somebody on the line say he might be a science teacher, which would make a hell of a lot of sense.
Would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Would make a ton of sense. And what's actually interesting, well, I don't know, interesting is really the right word here, but yes, you are 100% correct that in the anime adaptation, they definitely develop the women a little bit more. What's actually kind of interesting is that they don't even really do a whole lot with it. Like, there isn't really the traditional beach episode that you would expect. There is the hot spring episode. We do get that very last episode with a ludicrous, not that I'm really complaining, but a ludicrous amount of steam.
Oh yeah, there's so much steam. Oh my god, so much steam.
Oh, they're saving that one for the Blu-rays, baby.
I mean, it would be full frontal nudity if they didn't do all that steam, because there's a point where where Ruri and Shogu just run off to go wash up, and they're just there in the background fucking scrubbing down while Nagi is going on and on and on about some geological topic, and then they rush back over and jump back in, which I thought was funny, but yeah.
But yeah, it's a very smart show. From the perspective of I'm assuming, I'm not a geology expert, so I'm going to pretend that they're telling me the truth when they're going off on their stuff. But I mean, it is again, clearly a show that revels in nerding out over rocks and teaching a lot of kind of interesting things. And that's part of, I think, what makes it so much fun, is that it's very honest on that front. And it sort of starts out with Ruri, who is just like, I like pretty rocks, and I want to go look for pretty rocks, and she runs into Nagi, who is an actual researcher, a graduate student and a researcher, and then the rest of the show is just basically Ruri being, I want to go look at this pretty rock. And Nagi's like, all right, I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of really high level geology while we go look for pretty rocks. and it's cool.
And then you have Ruri's whole arc over the course of the series where she actually goes from being a bratty teenager who's convinced that she just wants to look at pretty rocks to like being a really competent like science nerd who's very driven, like more driven I think I ever was in anything related to school stuff. Like she goes hard on all of her research stuff. She takes all this time to like dedicatedly take notes, and she's got a notebook on her Sapphire project, and she's very, very intense about what she's doing. And she has like a dwarven sense of like where the rocks are. So she always finds like the rock when nobody else does. So she's just like, I found the deposit. I found this giant slab of placer gold that probably shouldn't exist.
Right. But of course you have the typical conflict, quote unquote conflict. We get to that last episode, and they're like, well, what do you want to do in the future? And she's like, I don't know, I'm not interested in anything. And everybody's just staring at her like, are you serious? Like, have you seen what you've done over the last 12 episodes?
Yeah,
I hope you said it like that too.
They were all just kind of
watch
like,
the show.
The way that they all kind of just reacted to Ruri going like, nah, I'm just the dumb blonde. And they're like, Ruri, you're actually pretty good at this, and you should probably think about maybe going into this as a career. And she's like, nah, this isn't a career. Nah, I'm too dumb. I'm not smart like you guys. It's just like no sense of like what she is actually capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining the meme of the guy like mining and like just like quitting right before getting to the diamonds, and that's Ruri. She's like, no.
Well, that's not even the thing. It's like it's like she finds all the shit, and she still thinks that she's like not a good researcher. She spends like 3 or 4 episodes tracking down the sapphire mine via like panning for sapphires in various streams and narrowing down the route to find the damn things. They have to track down all this local history stuff, and then and when she actually finds the thing, she's like, yeah, that's cool, I guess, but it's like, you found gem quality sapphires in the middle of fucking nowhere in Japan, and she's like, yeah, that's cool, I guess. Like, I mean, they're very stoked at the time, but it's like she still like downplays her abilities after that. It's like, the girl
sifting through sand, one grain of sand at a time, and examining them under a microscope. Right?
Spent episodes in the dead heat of summer where they show that place has absolutely no air conditioning, staring at a microscope, and I'm like, girl, my back. I'm like, you're killing me watching you do this. And look how she spends her summer break is like going over to like the college and like hanging out in the girls' like research room, just hanging out with them and looking through microscopes at grains of sand. And it's funny, the way we're talking about this makes it sound like the most boring show ever, and it's like really engrossing and very pretty and very engaging.
100%. Well, and just to go back to her spending her summer break, where she's not only doing this, but then everybody around, like all of her friends and whatnot, are like, hey, let's go out and have fun. Sorry, got stuff to do. And they're like, what the hell? Like, what?
Yeah, Shoko, I was convinced that at some point Shoko must have thought she was dealing drugs or some shit, because and then like
those kind of rocks, got it.
Yeah. It's like the other like glam girl girlfriend. She was all like, what are you into now? Why are you like, I keep inviting you to go out after school, and you're just like, nope, got shit to do. And she's like, yep, got shit to do. And then Shoko was just like, what is this girl up to? And then she follows her, and she's like, she's panning for gold in a river. And Shoko's just looking on, and we don't know what her deal is until like halfway through the series. Then you find out it's like, oh, she's like even more so into rocks. She just got basically like talked out of it as a kid, like, which is very sad. I think it's hilarious.
So it's not even like Rory finds this interest because she doesn't have any friends, she's got nothing going, and here's the joy. It's like, no, like, she's a popular person, she has a lot of things going for her, and she's still just like, nah, screw all y'all, I'm gonna go play with rocks. So
yeah, it's very funny too, like contrasting her with Shoku, whose like parents are like actually very supportive of her, but like it was like Shoku getting like turned away from like being interested or like thinking about rocks critically because her parents, when she was like a fucking 5-year-old, were like, I don't know about that. It would be better if she like went into making like sweets or something.
yeah,
But they were like obviously just like, she's our little girl, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, and she took that personally.
yeah,
5 or like 7 or whatever, and she's just like, no, this is not a good path to follow. I must never speak of rocks again to anybody. And meanwhile, Ruri's mom is over there like, I don't know, your dad was like, I mean, your grandfather was like collecting rocks up on the mountain. We threw all that shit out when he died.
As you do.
right.
Like, totally dismissive of it. And then she's like, she never wonders where her daughter seems to be running off to. We never hear like, oh, I gotta tell my mom I'm running off with these like random college girls to like God knows where. Like, her mom is just totally disinterested.
And on top of that, as you pointed out a couple days ago, like she runs off to all these places, and there are so many red flags, so many dangerous, like, it's like, yeah, we're going off by ourselves into the woods, into these dangerous situations, and we're sitting here watching like, oh my God, there's a typhoon coming, and they're going into the mountains to look for rocks, and what the hell is going to happen here? And nothing actually, it's fine. They're good. They're
The red flags in the series are so strong, and nothing bad ever happens. Like,
yeah,
it's like there's a typhoon coming. There's a warning that this dam might be overflowing. You're going to look for what mine shaft now? Oh God!
yeah,
You're following these train tracks. I've seen this movie.
yeah. Well, the
You're looking to
mine
find a
one is
dead
my
body.
favorite. Yeah, the mine one is my favorite one because they go hunting for this mine and they find it, and then as soon as they find it, they're like, "Okay, that's cool, but we can't go in there because it might be dangerous." Oh yeah, okay, you're right. And then 30 seconds later, they fall into it, and they're, and then you actually look, and they fall in like 3 feet.
Yeah, they fell like on their butts, and then they're like, oh,
Right,
they're like, well, we're here now. We might as well see where this goes.
right.
Well, like, what choice do you have at the end? You might as well just keep doing rocks.
Yeah.
Doing
So
rocks.
highly recommend this show, particularly if you like rocks. Do it. Watch it.
I learned stuff in this show, and I know everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was very impressed. I learned about wine crystals. I didn't know that was a thing.
What's more educational, Ruri Rocks or Dr. Stone of the several rock-based anime?
Ruri Rocks is way more realistic, and there's actually shit you could do in Ruri Rocks that makes sense, and you could do it at home. Like in the last episode,
like going down abandoned mine shafts.
No, well, I mean they also go like beachcombing in an episode, and just like find like agates and broken bottles and stuff on the beach. There was a there was a thing they did in the very last episode that I want to find a microscope and attempt to do, which was they were looking for meteorites on a roof. And I was like, is this a thing? And I looked it up, and some dude figured out that like city roofs or flat roofs in general, where material collects, you can find like micrometeorites that have fallen from space, and they end up on roofs, and then they get like swept down into like gutters and stuff, and you could actually find potentially a very small meteorite. So now
I still think building a rocket ship in the Stone Age is a little more based in science. If you ask me.
Yeah, definitely realistic. I think you could do that at home.
Yeah,
just follow the instructions.
The Flintstones was a documentary.
Exactly.
That is one crossover I could see. Another one is Land of the Lustrous. I'm curious what a crossover that would look like.
Oh my God.
Aren't they made of rocks or some shit in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Land of the Illustrious is a religious allegory, so I don't think it belongs in the same spot as Ruri. Anytime religion gets brought up in Ruri, they're kind of like, well, this myth exists for a reason. So what's the actual reason for this myth? Oh, there was all these sapphires, and the people in the past were like, these are the bones of a dragon.
Did they do any like zodiac astrology talk with the gems?
No,
Stuff
thank
like that?
Christ. They grounded it all in reality. There was nothing like that in there. I was like, man, if people start talking about like this crystal's got such and such energy, I'm like, I'm out. But
Did they go over the healing properties of the rocks?
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought there might be like a whole new audience to awaken for this show, but I guess not.
No. Like I said, the closest they get is talking about like the historical relevance of some, like some of this stuff, and like
right. Yeah, any mysticism was from historical belief or anything like that.
Okay.
So yes, excellent science show, excellent entertainment value, really good production values. Everything is gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. Yeah, it was way better animated than it had any right to be for what its probable potential audience is. It was a beautiful series.
Anime has a way of doing that. Just completely, blowing a budget on the most beautifully animated things possible, and the things you're watching is like someone doing needlepoint for 45 minutes. So
right. And I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, it's one of the things that always has my respect, is that they'll get their people who are really passionate about it, and they'll be like, it would be sick if this rock collecting looked like some of the most beautiful shit you could ever imagine, and it's just a bunch of people digging in the dirt for 30 minutes at a time. So I get it. So the series is done. This is based off a manga. So did this cover almost all of it, or is it just not going to get another season because
it covered about half of what exists? I think the manga is still running. They only put out about a volume a year because it runs in Harda. So of course, because all the best stuff comes from Harda. And it's kind of they didn't put a to be continued or anything at the end. They actually teased like this is what potentially could happen in like the far off future at the end, and we're like, thanks for watching. I guess the studio doesn't do a lot of like sequels unless it's for one specific thing. So I want them to do more at some point in the future, but it's probably never going to happen. And the sad thing is, I don't think the manga's licensed here yet, so I hope that changes soon because I'd like to pick it up. Even though,
I don't believe it's licensed here yet either.
Yeah, even though like they kind of changed the character designs, at least for one girl, to be like up to boob size, like a factor of like 7 or something.
Tasteful artistic interpretation. That's all it is.
Is she stuffing her chest with rocks? Maybe.
Oh, I had a coworker that did that once. Do not recommend.
With rocks?
With rocks?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, she walked into our office one time and she's like, "I've got a rock in my bra." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Look, I've worked with some weird people. Okay. Yeah, I can't explain it either. Because it had some healing properties and she was trying to get the good mojo.
Sure, the energy, aligning chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Alrighty. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It sounds like it's one of those hidden gems that I'm sure we'll revisit maybe at the... Yeah, no. I just sneak it in there.
I used that in one of my reviews, I think, at some point, but...
It's great minds think alike,
Well, I mean, it's right there.
It's the low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure we will revisit it or so if we talk about our end-of-year rankings, and there's always like the dark horse underrated type things. This could be one of those. It sounds like, for sure, considering I don't recall there being any hype whatsoever around it. So those are always pretty pleasant.
It was not on my radar in the slightest until Kate just started blowing up the channels with it and was like, "This is amazing." And it's like, all right, fine, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I didn't know about this either, and I'm pretty, I'm like, oh, Harda stuff's cool, Harda's great. And then I was just kind of like, and then watched the first episode, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for this now.
Yeah, I have an interest in geology kind of outside of it. And so once I heard about it, I was like, okay, that could be something that that speaks. So and similarly, yeah, I watched the first episode. I was like, all right, fine, I'm here. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, speaking of anime about students driven to success, I think it's time we move on and we talk about one Grand Blue Dreaming.
Driven to success, huh?
Yeah, driven to academic success, financial success.
Driven to excess. How about that?
There you go.
I think that's a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
I know this is one that several of us have watched, and I know at least I believe Kestrel and myself were greatly looking forward to it, if only because the first season's really good. And I haven't read the manga yet, but Kestrel, I know you said the manga is even better because of the detail where it matters in the faces.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Way better.
But yeah, so I had just finished this yesterday, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. And overall, I definitely got to say that I'm satisfied with the series. And there was at least a couple moments every episode where I was chuckling, if not laughing and stuff. But it wasn't quite as good as season 1. And I think maybe it is the faces that do so much. And we didn't get as many completely over the top things as we did in the first one. But overall, still really, really enjoyed it. I think my favorite gag at this point is the fact that they carry around lighters in their pockets to make sure that water is water.
Speaking of things that you watch anime and you learn that things are real, I had no idea that Spiritus was a thing until I started reading and watching Grand Blue Dreaming. I'm like, holy shit, this is real stuff.
Yeah,
96%.
Grain. Grain alcohol.
Colorless, odorless. It's just water,
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be my favorite gag, if only because they keep going back to it whenever they have to do anything in the outside world in particular, and then act like they're gentlemen for putting a lighter over your glass of water, like they're protecting you, which I always made me laugh when I was going about it. But yeah,
well,
overall,
and the best place I think it shows up in this season is when Iori gets the job and he's being trained, and Sakurako is like, okay, so serve the customer, and he brings out water and he puts it in front of her and then tries to light it, and she's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and then he holds his hand in front of the glass like, Madame, afterwards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that one was definitely the best. Yeah. That one was definitely the best version of the gag for sure. I think another thing I liked about the series, and I can't remember if the first season did it as much, and I want to say probably no, because they had to establish like your main characters. But I liked the inclusion of like Iori's friend group and stuff, and how they're all just like shitty delinquent dudes that will also stomp all over each other. For success. Yeah, they're super duper petty.
The instant betrayal the second one of them talks to a girl.
Yeah.
The backstabbing, the temporary alliances, like all that stuff. Like when Iori's working at the maid cafe and keeps calling the one a virgin over and over again until he has an emotional breakdown, I also found very amusing. At the same time. Because, yeah, I love how they are so willing to just completely destroy one another just for the chance of spending 1 minute with a beautiful girl, even if it's just like at a cafe in a public setting and like almost a job interview type environment. They do not care whatsoever.
That's what best friends are for.
Most importantly, sabotage each other if they have any chance of success at anything in life.
Oh yeah, that's true. You got to keep dragging them down with you if you don't have the option. Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, continue, Mark. What you were saying?
Yeah, no, just on the sabotage front, that entire episode where there's the one of them that's actually hooking up with his childhood friend, and they're trying to like break into his apartment and do everything that they can to stop it from actually happening. Just good stuff, but it's interesting. See, I felt I actually like this season better than the first season.
Same.
You too, Kestrel?
Yeah.
For me, it kind of comes down to it's actually Iori more than anything else, and kind of like what you were saying about, because you have to establish things in the first season. Early in the series, Iori comes into this new situation, and he's yeah. I'm gonna date myself here. It's a Meizani Koku kind of situation, where where in Meizani Koku you've got Godai who keeps getting dragged into all the parties, and he clearly likes it, and he clearly doesn't fight it that hard, but at the same time he's always like, no, 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 I can't. This isn't me. I can't be focusing on this stuff and whatnot, and that's kind of Iori's sort of attitude at the beginning, and I like it better once he kind of settles in and accepts this is and sort of two things happen. One, he sort of accepts this is where we are and I'm happy with this. I'm not fighting this anymore. Like I'm just part of the gang as well. And if you tell me there's alcohol involved, those clothes are coming off. I don't even have to start drinking and the clothes are coming off,
Yeah, it's so rote at this point that they don't even treat it like a special occasion. It's just, all right, time to get the clothes off. Let's go. Like almost they're clocking in for the day at that point.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's I think part of the joy of it, I think, is like even the girls who don't get who don't have the clothes coming off, like it's just so much rote, as you said, so much just part of the daily life. Like it doesn't even phase them anymore either. Like it's just kind of like, oh, here we are again, or or whatever. And so like I like it better once he kind of settles in. But then additionally on top of that, this season is kind of like where we start getting into those moments where for all of the ridiculousn's that's going on, we start having these moments with Iori and various other people where they kind of realize that as ridiculous as he is, as dumb as he is, he's also like just like a really cool person, who like really likes his friends, and really, and as much as like he sabotages people with things and what, at the same time he accepts them for who they are. Like when they have the sort of mixer thing with Sakurako and the other girls, and Kohei goes off to do the concert. He rejects Sakurako and goes off to see the concert instead, and everybody just starts, all the girls just start ragging on him, and Iori's response to that, after he's spent at this point 18 episodes ragging on Kohei, is to dump his beer all over her and walk out on her. And she's like, what the hell? Like, you were making fun of him too. And he's like, yeah, but he's my friend, and I can respect, like, I don't agree with anything that he likes, but I respect people who just go all in on the stuff that they like, and aren't and refuse to settle for anything else. And people start seeing this sort of stuff in there, and it's kind of like, for all of the craziness in Grand Blue Dreaming, like, it's those moments that I think really make it amazing, and we get a lot more of that in season 2 than we get in season 1, because we've established everything, and now we're kind of settling in with stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point where, Iori takes on the whole, like, we can rag on them because they're our friends, but you don't get to. Like,
right.
that classic, sort of cool defense of someone. It's like, we know that he's a perv and creep, but he's our perv and creep, so...
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
The whole, like, you can't talk that way about my brother, only I can talk that way about my brother.
Yeah. But he's like that as well with everybody, because even Sakurako, I mean, he has nothing but a contentious relationship with her. They do nothing but fight. But then in the moment, like, she has a thing for one of their coworkers, and she finally sucks it up and tries to ask him out, and gets rejected. And the first person that's there to try and sort of console her is Iori, even though they have done nothing but be at each other's throats for up to this point. So I really like his character. And as I said, for me, what really takes it over the top are these little moments that sort of punctuate the silliness.
Yeah, Iori is an interesting character, I think, for everything that you had laid out, because he will basically, at the flip of a coin, talk about how he cares so little about someone in this, like, dunk on him furiously, and then turn around and, I don't want to say he says something profound or acts in that way, but then he'll have, like, a zen moment of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll just go right back to him insulting somebody else for their looks, or stripping down naked and, like, double fisting 2 enormous cans of beer or whatever as he goes about it. Those moments I did appreciate from this season as well, like the little character development bits. And I think maybe one of the reasons I'm still not holding it in quite as high regard as season 1, and maybe if I read the manga, because I know season 3 has been confirmed. But if I read the manga and go with that, I guess I'm just a little gun shy to be like, I wonder where this is gonna go, because I don't want to put myself into a whole, like, Spy Family situation where it's like, look at this character development that will ultimately lead to nothing. So it's like, just do the funny jokes, joke man, and then and go from there. But yeah, it was like I said, still really enjoyed it. It's just I don't want to get too emotionally invested if it's one of those things where none of it ever pays off. Those types of things.
Yeah.
It has its pockets of sincerity, which is nice to have as kind of a palate cleanser.
So it doesn't turn into just Always Sunny the anime.
Well, we already have that. But yeah, it is not too far off.
I like that way that you put it, pockets of sincerity. I like that.
Oh, like in the ending of this season, so to speak, when they're trying to gather up things to sell. So Keiki can stick around and stuff, and then the joke is it's nothing but, like, just weird shit that they gathered. Yeah, that was one of those moments too. That I think I like, because there's also a group thing that it showed that they all sort of care about each other as well, even if they're constantly just digging at each other all of the time, or misconstruing what they mean, or just straight up threatening or performing physical violence on each other. But Kestrel, you watched it for sure. Bran, you watched it too, right?
Yeah.
What were your general what's your general takeaway?
I feel like for me, I'm more on your train of thought Kane, that I preferred the first season, but I feel like part of that comes down to the fact that this was like such a strong season overall for me that it, in my mind, didn't stack up to a lot of others. But also, I feel like I'm kind of wearing some rose-tinted glasses with the first season, because I feel like when the first season of Grand Blue came out, it, to me, was like a really fresh kind of anime that I hadn't really seen before. Like, oh, like college age students, like you don't really see that every day. And like a lot of the focus being like around the comedy and the drinking aspect of it, like being, you know, of only like a year or two out of college at that point, I was still like in that headspace of like, oh, this is so fun, and like brain dead, just like slapstick. And like, I really enjoyed it for that part of it. And I don't know, something about the second season, some of the episodes that focus more on like, I'm not like super invested in like the romance aspect, even though that's like half of the point of the show. But I will say that I did, similar to like the points that Mark was getting at, this season was really strong in developing Iori as just like everyone's bro, and like, yeah, just like the coolest guy to be around, and like everyone is comfortable around him. And I think it did a really good job of building that, as Kestrel said, the pockets of sincerity, where like he goes from like fighting amongst each other like the the dumbass idiots they are, and then like a split second later like showing that like, oh, it's all in good fun, like they don't mean any harm, like he's here for you if you need him, kind of thing. So I did appreciate that about it, but I think for some reason the straight dumb fun of the first season for me was still just like how I got into the series, and like I enjoyed it for that. So unfortunately the more romance and sincere tones added in the second season weren't as much of a hit for me, but I can see as it rolls into the third season maybe getting a little bit more invested into that. But yeah.
Well, they'll have to evolve a little bit too, just because like it was a good point, Brian, that you had made earlier, that you were kind of like fresh out of college and still sort of in that mindset that they're in, but they're starting to age out and graduate, so to speak, like a upcoming sort of conflict is not the right word, but story development will be the seniors not being in the club anymore. So they're going to have to change the way they act. Maybe new characters will be introduced and such. So they're kind of going through a similar experience as maybe you were when you had watched season 1, in a way, like, these are the good times, but are we in them? Or, you know, what is that classic Office thing? It's like you wish you could experience you knew they were the good times and you were experiencing them. Yeah. And I think that'll be an interesting development that I'm looking to hear. Not that the seniors had that big of an impact in season 2. They were just kind of around occasionally to be muscle and maybe some babysitter type situations, but they will be gone and everyone will be 1 year older and kind of getting towards senior status in their own, because I think it's what they treat it as. You can be in a club like your freshman through junior year, and then senior year you don't do anything anymore. So they will be in essentially their junior year of the diving club. Some of them.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's important to have some amount of balance, because kind of like what you said about Spy Family, it does have a similar structure in that it establishes some plot lines and gets to them maybe once a season, because it's mostly concerned with jokes, and that's fun. But I feel like if nothing ever matters and nothing ever progresses, then the joke kind of wears thin. So I appreciate the balance that it has going on, where, the romance, I wouldn't say is the point of anything. It's less the point than diving was supposed to be the point, and diving is definitely not the focus of the series. But the fact that they have these elements to drop in occasionally and, build toward a climax and have some character development helps break up the just nonstop gags. And then conversely, like you had mentioned, when they get too serious for too long, they always have a gag around the corner. So you can, it's something that Gintama does as well. Like, even its serious arcs, it has some hilarious comedy that gets mixed in very successful.
I was going to say, Kestrel, this sounds an awful lot like a show you really, really like, with the comedy, seriousness here.
Would you be surprised if I told you it was the same director? Of course, the source material is, where all of this comes from. But yes, he has a type.
That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, I liked it for that aspect. I thought it was more well-rounded, had a better variety overall. And yeah, in both cases, I had read all of the material of the respective season before the season started.
Me too.
So yeah, the two of us have a slightly different perspective than the two of you in that regard. And it's interesting that we had one takeaway and the two of you had another, and maybe there's some correlation there. But yeah, I definitely think the execution is, comparable to how it was 7 or 8 years ago, whenever that first season was. The material, I think, is getting a little bit stronger. And yeah, overall, I definitely wouldn't mind if it wasn't so ugly and shoddily produced. But at the end of the day, the material is so good that it makes up for any production issues that I have with it. And Agreed. Of course, I can just go back to manga.
Yeah. And I like how you, that brief aside that it's almost not as, it's not really a scuba diving manga. There is that gag, very, very brief gag. I want to say it's like the second or third episode of this season. It's just like a little sign that flashes up. It's like, we promise we're still about scuba diving.
Right, exactly.
Little meta joke there. But as I was describing it to somebody a little earlier today, I was like, they say they're a scuba diving club, but what they really are is a drinking club with a scuba problem.
Yeah.
Well, it does what all the best anime does, where it promises one thing in the beginning and then it turns into something entirely different. Like, Ping Pong is not an anime about ping pong. It's an anime about struggling with your parents' expectations of yourself and society. And Grand Blue Dreaming is an anime about getting sick, nasty drunk. So
very naked.
Yeah, and very
very naked.
Super naked. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
The black dot of censorship gets a lot of usage.
I like that the preview for the next season is just a straight up naked shot with the black.
He always ass hanging out.
Yep. Yeah. It's just Kohei and Iori just naked on water skis or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're like, they know what you want.
We know our audience.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it's like what we were saying before about Ruri Rocks. It's like you bring the sexy to draw the eyeballs, and now that we've got you here, now we can tell you that we can do the interesting story for you.
I like how they always have to put on more clothes to go in the water because their default state is just naked.
Yeah. And just how many times it's like they, when they go to the island that they're at the beach and, they show up wearing bathing suits and they're like, "You're dressed."
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking for it. So, is there a lot to go in the manga after this? Is it still going, or is it done?
Oh yeah!
Wow, it's still going.
Oh yeah, there's lots.
Yeah, I'm not entirely. There's still quite a bit. I'm not. I can't sit here and say exactly how far. I haven't really thought about it, but there's still a lot of manga that's been done so far. that has not made it into anime yet.
I'm just glad that we'll get more of it sooner rather than 7 years later.
Right.
Right.
Presumably.
Yeah, I would hope so. If they got the balls to announce it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I almost made the joke earlier when Kester was going through all the news about all the stuff that was getting adaptations. And it was like, well, you forgot the big one, which is Grand Blue Dreaming Season 3, as if we didn't know about that for the past 8 months. Because it was... What's that?
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, because
I was going to say, because it was leaked, right?
That's right.
It was supposed to be a big... the big card at the end of the episode was like, season 3 is coming, except the season was leaked, 8 months ago, and everybody was like, well, I guess we're getting a season 3.
Oh.
Yeah, I will definitely look forward to it. And I think I'll start reading the manga too, because it sounds like it's the superior way to experience what I enjoy most, at the very least.
Yeah,
definitely.
So,
what I will say, speaking of again going back to Ruri Rocks and how beautiful it was, that is kind of one of my disappointments. Is that there are, when they do the scuba in the manga, there are some, like the level of detail in the underwater scenes is just incredible in the manga, and I was really looking forward to that in the anime, and it just doesn't come out quite as well as it does in the manga. But of course, the manga is black and white, and I'm like, I want to see this in color.
Yeah.
So
100%.
indeed. Alrighty. Well, how about we shift gears to another show here? So, I know that we talked a little bit about it at the beginning, and there were already some concerns going into it about some pacing issues and things. But Bran, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the ending of Anne Shirley.
Yeah. Man, this is such a sweet series.
Yeah, it's also very, very fast.
Yeah, it definitely, the pacing is interesting because I feel like for the younger years, which maybe I'm not sure are the ones that more people are familiar with because of previous adaptations, but I feel like, the first maybe half of the first core of it is focused on her childhood, but then once she becomes a teenager / young adult, it's just bam, each episode is maybe half a year to a year, and it's oh god, wait, okay, she's going to college, okay, wait, she's graduating, okay, wait, she's gonna get married. It's slow down, please.
Yeah, and I know that was something that was a small criticism of in the first season, though. I read Anne of Green Gables after that, just because I really liked the anime, and I knew that it's a literary classic, 100 years old. I remember seeing the books in my library when I was a kid and stuff, so I was like, why not? It's on Project Gutenberg. It's, you can get it for free. It's public domain, all that. So, worst case, I'm out a few hours of my time if I didn't like it. And all in all, I really thought the first season really wasn't that bad. It gets all of the highlights. Spoiler alert for a century-old book, but you would be surprised at how little time is actually spent on Matthew's death, even though it's supposed to feel like a big deal. The chapter that Matthew's death is in Anne of Green Gables is 6 pages, and that's it. Yeah. So the anime spent about 10 minutes maybe on it, and really that's about all the book did as well. So there was a couple characters that were missing, obviously, and a moment or two with Marilla, but all in all, I don't think that the first season suffered too badly from the quick pacing. But that's because that first season covered one book, which you are correct to a certain extent, Brandon, that the everyone's familiar with that because Anne of Green Gables is the first book and the one that everybody like would read or be familiar with, because this series is actually, I think, 6 or 7 books long.
Oh, wow.
So the first book is that first season, so it got 12 or 13 episodes. And then the second core season or whatever covers the next 2 books. So you basically you spend 6 episodes per book, which is why you get shit like Anne meeting Roy, and then they jump fucking 2-3 years, and Anne meets the family, and then Anne gets asked to be married by Roy, and it feels like you had just met him 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it does it a bit of a disservice too, because I feel like the show wants you to not root for Roy too, because of the little amount of time you actually get with him in the show, even though he's like her ideal Prince Charming she's had since she was a kid, you just like know who Best Boy is, and the show knows you know who Best Boy is, so they're like, all right, we're gonna get through this Roy shit in like 2-3 episodes, and we'll get back to, you know, standing the real ship. But
yeah, they did Roy a disservice for sure. Granted, from what I gather, because I only read the first book, and the first book ends with Matthew's death. So I know just some about the second and third books by reading over their synopses and timelines and things like that, because I just didn't feel like reading the second 2 books.
Yeah.
But there is a lot more time spent on that relationship because they date for the rest of Anne's college career. And she meets the family, and they don't like her at first for the most part, but she wins them over and things. Now, they also changed Roy's personality in the anime too, for better or for worse. He's much more, according to the descriptions, like melodramatic and demure, things like that. And one of the reasons that Anne rejects him is because he doesn't have like a sense of humor that matches hers and things. He is essentially the image of the idea of what she wanted. She just didn't realize that's not actually what she wanted. So when she denies him in the anime, what she tells him is generally the same. It just obviously is missing context.
Yeah.
So like when she says, "I realized I didn't love you," she loved the idea of Roy.
Yeah, which I think they get that point across well enough, just the way they characterize him in the anime, because he kind of speaks in the flowery, imaginative, like overzealous language that she did growing up, and just being so like over imaginative, and everything is like, oh, the potential of a story or like a life lived this could be. I feel like they really portrayed him in that way, where like he'll send her flowers every day and like
he
tell
love
her
bombs the shit out of her.
Yeah, and just like sweet nothings at every moment, and it's like that's what she always wanted, but what she didn't realize is like those were all just like hollow like pleasantries and not like anything real.
Well, yeah, they don't have staying power. They don't have any real emotional resonance outside of when you open the box and see the flowers, and Roy just could not provide Anne with that same type of like meat and potatoes emotional support, so to speak, which our fucking boy Gil,
our boy,
he was there the whole time. Also, they did Gil dirty too in the anime a bit, because they let him have typhoid fever for 2 minutes.
Yeah, they really did. I will say I was scared for a minute that we were gonna get like the unrequited love ending, because of the way it was going with like both of them finding someone else, and the fact that she rejected him 2 or 3 times throughout their like teen years. So, you know, and like he took it on the chin every time. He's like, you know what? I love you, but I get it. I'll back off. And it's like, no, dude. But they really do speed run that ending where he's like, oh, apparently, what's his name, Davey? I love that little shithead. He's just did you hear that Gilbert's dying? He was, I love that little introduction of like the twins, because like they're just such a like a type of character. He's almost like the Dennis the Menace character, you know.
Yeah, he is the plot device when
Yeah.
things need to happen. Davy is the one that will do them if he is around. They turned him into a small adult, which was weird. I think anime in general has a hard time drawing teenagers. They either look like they're 6 but stretched, or 40 and shrunk.
Yeah. They definitely, the last episode or two of him, I was like, is this like a Chilchuck kind of thing going on here?
Yeah. So,
but the pacing was weird because of like the way things had to be stretched and squashed. But at the same time, even though the time frames were rushed, I feel like a lot of the content that we did see didn't mind kind of taking its time at moments, which I appreciated about it, because there were episodes that, feel like they only happen within like a few days, like when she visits the old mistress who like had her like unrequited love story that like the man like moved back and she was able to like speak with again, and they like found each other again, like one-off-ish type episodes like that I know felt like they slowed it down a bit.
Yeah, well, I like that Anne went back to her.
Yeah,
because I think if anything, that woman is a powerful sort of role model, at least in the anime, for Anne, because she didn't tell Anne to like take her decision back to deny Gil, like some of her friends and other family members were kind of doing, like expressing disappointment and being like, Anne, how could you deny Gil? How could you, he's made for you. You were made for each other. And while she addressed that with Anne, like, oh, that's sad and disappointing, she supported Anne in her decision and said, like, hey, maybe you'll change your mind someday and you'll go back and you'll get together with him, but you have time to figure that out on your own. Like, you don't need to feel the pressure to say yes to whomever, especially that dickhead that the second she said no, he's like, well, you're a fucking orphan.
Yeah, I hated that dude.
Yeah, Fred, I think his name is.
Fred.
Yeah, he sucks.
Ugh.
So I like that, because I like that Anne stood by her choices, and even though they weren't always the best choices, she didn't immediately cave to any outside pressure, which matches her character. She's always been like headstrong and lives life in her own way and doesn't particularly care what people think about them, for better or for worse. Like, obviously much more innocent and low stakes when she's younger and like wearing a flower crown to church, which makes the neighbors all, upset. And now she's, denying dudes, their hands in marriage and stuff. So things that have more social connotations and pressure, but she still makes the choices that she thinks are best for her at the time, which I think is highly commendable. And I'm glad she didn't turn back. It is just a shame that the pacing of the series made it so that it feels like Anne kind of realizes she loves Gilbert very quickly and under extreme duress, which is how it happens in the book. Like, Gilbert is dying from typhoid, and it's only then that she realizes it. But there's so much more time in the book from you reading it for like things to sort of boil over and stuff. And the anime, unfortunately, was just like the end of one episode, she denies Roy, and then in the middle of the next episode, Gilbert's dying.
Yeah, very quickly. Like, it's like, did we not just see him like 15 minutes ago looking spry as a chicken? Like,
yeah, looking totally fine and cool, and now he's at death's door.
Yeah, but I guess that's kind of how it went back then, to be fair.
Well, there's also just the fact that obviously the production company knew how many episodes they wanted, and this is like, and a very emotional high point in the series. Like, the OTP gets together finally.
Yeah.
And that's how you would want to end it, because if they did a similar situation where they spent the second season on the second book, I think that book ends with like her rejecting Gilbert.
Oh wow, that would be a rough spot to end on.
Yeah, and how are you going to end your Anne of Green Gables with a straight up denial of the audience, and then being like, if you read the books, you'll figure out what happens later, but we're not going to tell you when, and we're not going to tell you what. So
instead of go read the manga, go read the century-old fable.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, so I understand why they would make the choice. It's just like to speed run through to get to this ultimate, satisfying ending of Anne and Gilbert. The fated lovers finally get together after years of rivalry and friendship, and then time apart due to Anne, finding herself and Gilbert always just kind of being around, and then it's just it could have used a little more time to do it. Even if they just would have had one more core and it would be like a 36 episode thing. I don't know if that's common at all for anime or if it's just it is what it is. But if they just went like 12 episodes per book, I think that would have been good. Because like Phil also like Philomena gets like no attention, and she has a complete character change too, where she's at first courting two dudes and is like, I don't really care about them, and then she just turns around and is like, I'm marrying a preacher.
Yeah. I really liked her character, but yeah, I do feel like they didn't give her enough time to like properly show how she like grew up and developed during their time at Patty's house, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Patty's Place.
But Patty's Place, that's what it was, alliteration. Yeah, it was like a very nice series. I didn't expect to enjoy as much. It's unfortunate the pacing ends up how it is. But that's interesting. I didn't know how many books there were. So I assume like the complete series like basically goes through her whole life into like being an old woman.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I thought that not knowing that and not knowing like how many books there actually were, I thought that this maybe was like where it ended. So that's interesting to know that there is a lot more they could potentially do if they wanted.
Nope, them getting engaged is essentially like the halfway point of the whole story. Wow. I think the third book I think is called Anne of the Island, and then the chapter that they get engaged and then married and stuff is called like Anne's House of Dreams or something like that, which is very cute.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it really is. But I think I still really enjoyed it. Emily and I liked watching it, and we waited with bated breath to see how Gilbert was going to finally pull in that W at the end, and it only took him almost dying.
Yeah, that's all it took.
That's all it took, yeah. But it was, very enjoyable, and would still very much so recommend. Like, it's a great show, classic, story material and stuff that they do the best they can with. And if anything, just read the books afterwards or watch the old show. Though, granted, the old show mainly just covers the first book. You just get everything that happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna make more, but if they did, I'd probably watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either, because then it's like them living together, and I think they have some kids and stuff, which is cool, but like this was the pinnacle of the actual like romance and
the coming of age.
Yeah, the coming of age, exactly. All of that is kind of done after this point. Gilbert becomes a doctor.
Nice.
So,
I mean,
there you go.
That's what he was aiming for. Love that.
Indeed.
I mean, he was gonna be. I mean, that dude was fucking killing it in college.
He was gonna be successful no matter what he did.
Yeah.
So.
As long as typhoid didn't get him,
Yeah. As long as typhoid didn't get him, he was gonna be fine.
Yeah. Pleasant surprise with Anne Shirley.
Yeah, glad that you enjoyed it as well. And then would recommend if you ever need like an old book to read. It's a fast read too. It's like 300 pages, but it's meant for like kids, so everything goes by really quickly, and the chapters are only like, it's essentially like small stories of Anne's life as it plays out. So
like little vignettes.
It's easy to pick up the book and like read 2 chapters and put it down and not worry about what happened if you hadn't read it for like a week.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna put that on my list.
Yeah. But cool. So then let's pivot over to another show here. So how about we keep a little bit of this romance going and we talk about some fragrant flowers. I know we have not a whole lot to really work with here on the American side, considering we're like 5 episodes in. But I know that we haven't talked about it at all yet, so we should give it some time. And Kestrel, is it just you and me watching it at this point?
Think so.
I had it on my list, but I was so intent on just being able to finish what I was already watching that I was like, I can't start this now.
I don't blame you.
I've watched the first episode, but I'm at this point. I would have been all over it if we were getting it live, but I'm at this point waiting until the whole season is out.
Yeah.
I'm reading the manga, but I'm waiting on the anime.
Yeah, when we had talked about this before, we were like, well, Netflix sometimes thinks that people like stuff more binge style, so occasionally they'll make you wait to drop it all at once. Nope, they didn't even do that. They fucking made us wait 2 weeks to just start releasing it weekly anyway. Literally the worst case scenario.
Bro.
Yeah.
No one wants this.
What a fucking swing and a miss.
Dude, I'm so scared for SBR.
Yeah, and especially because, I mean, aside from it just being a terrible decision, but it was, Cloverworks had the animation studio. Cloverworks had the sort of 3 major rom-coms of the season with that My Dress Up Darling and Rascal Doesn't Dream of Santa Claus. And all of their, at least in Japan, all of their marketing went towards like, we've got these 3 shows. Like, you didn't get just a My Dress Up Darling, ad or whatever. You all the ads were for back to back to back. You tune in and it, 11:30 there's this, 12 there's this, and 12:30 there's this, or whatever the times were, and so that was kind of like the big hype move. And then, we were sort of robbed of that.
By the way, Bran, since you brought that up, I forgot to mention when we talked about Steel Ball Run, another part of the announcement was the confirmation that it would be Netflix.
Yeah, we still don't know, though, their intention on how they're releasing it. So, that's what I'm waiting with bated breath for the most.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean...
anyways.
Yeah, there are tiers of how awful Netflix releases things. So, the ideal scenario is they just do whatever everyone else has doing for 17 and a half years, which is release episodes as they come out. And then the next best option is if it's at least an actual original and it's not just that they're holding on to it, and it releases at the same time worldwide, then that's okay. But then you still have the JoJo situation where it's like, all right, you don't have the week to week engagement because you have it all at once. And then the worst scenario,
and then they unlocked a new tier.
Yeah, before now was it was being released weekly in Japan. They waited to drop it all at once for binge format in the US, and now they've unlocked the new tier of we'll make you wait 2 months and then still not give you more than an episode a week, and you're just perpetually 2 months behind for no reason. Anyway, it's a good show.
That's good.
Yeah, I think my main takeaway at this point is I really enjoy that the main boy character feels real in that he makes mistakes, realizes he's making mistakes in communication, tries to stop himself from doing it, and just can't sometimes because so much of it is ingrained. And his mom acts as a little bit of a crowd insert where she's like, you're being dumb and you could just text her instead of doing whatever this weird teenager shit you're doing is. But yeah, with what we have right now, I think that's my main takeaway. And one of the things I knew going into the show really was the characters feel pretty real. Communication is generally well prioritized between them. If there's something wrong, they will just talk to each other about it, which is something I always like. But that's kind of the main thing at this point is just how he feels like an actual teenage boy trying to figure stuff out, like especially coming from a background of being, misunderstood and misgiven for his looks and his general kind of disposition and how it doesn't match what his actual personality is. And then, he unknowingly projects that onto other people as well in one of those classic hurt people type moments. And it takes, some time for him to process that and work through. And I'm sure that'll continue as the show goes on and we get more conflict between his friends and the schools and things like that. I do think that is a little too dramatic for me at times, like this whole rivalry between the delinquent boys' school and the fancy girls' school, where it feels like at any moment one of them is just gonna fucking murder each other. Like, that's a little too much at this point for me, because it feels Shakespearean, and I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if there is a purpose to that, because it also has like some Romeo Juliet-esque feels because of that. But I am enjoying it, for sure so far. It's living up as far as I knew to the hype that my friends were giving it before the show started, the ones who were reading the manga.
Yeah, I've read a few volumes of the manga, so been ahead of what we've gotten from Netflix so far. It might pass where I've read at some point before the season's over, but it's definitely, a series that is very enjoyable from the beginning and very well adapted. They definitely knew that they had something special that they needed to go all in for, even if Netflix apparently did not. But the emotional maturity is definitely the thing that sets it apart from a lot of series that kind of follow the same tropes. And just the introspective aspect of being able to look at the situation objectively, and like you said, the fact that they do have difficulty in doing that, and they say things that they wish they didn't and do things they wish they didn't, because that is natural and is realistic. And then the fact that they, can swallow their pride and go back and, say I was wrong and I'm sorry and let's kind of move forward from this, shows a lot more character growth. And if they just did everything right, then you wouldn't have that growth. And if they never were able to forgive each other and themselves and realize what was wrong, then it would be like so many other romantic comedy manga anime series, where you don't see the progression that you want to see and you're screaming at the screen or the page. So this has both sides. It has the setup for what can go wrong and then what you would hope the characters would do in that situation, and they actually do it in this case.
Yeah, it's nice, albeit frustrating, to see the characters recognize that there is a flaw about themselves, or they feel there is a flaw about themselves in their emotional maturity or communication, and then attempt to fix it and fail. If only because, like you had mentioned, it brings a reality to their situation, not only as a potential romantic partnership or whatever, but just as people growing up and trying to figure out how the world works. Because it would be easy for them to be like, this character made this mistake once, they apologized, and now it's fixed. But right. You see some of them making the same mistakes, or catching them at least in the beginning steps of a faux pas of sorts, and then trying to fix it. Like it's a gradual progress, not just I made the mistake once and offended you, I'm sorry, and now it will never happen again. Because that's not realistic either. It's better than not happening at all and everything is just perfect, but also making these foundational changes to anyone's personality, to yourself, takes a lot of time, especially if you come from a place of like pain or trauma of some type. Because not only do you have to make positive change, you also have to try to revert some negative effects at the same time, which can be just as hard. So it is nice to see that, albeit, it can be frustrating because you've especially as like an adult watching it, because you can see that happening and be like, no, don't stop.
But I think, yeah, a lot of the things that happen are kind of universal, and you don't necessarily grow out of, but you recognize more readily when they happen. And yeah, I think, like you said, having the mother character there to be the adult perspective and kind of push things in the right direction definitely helps and adds a little bit more realism. So, if someone in this situation wouldn't necessarily immediately come to this conclusion on their own, at least they have a positive role model to get them going, and then their character can take over and you can see them progress and evolve from there.
Yeah. I like that she adds a little levity to the situations as well, because the story is so like steeped in this melodrama of the rival schools and stuff that it can be a little overbearing. And then she comes in and she's like, yo, it's not that deep. Sometimes like I get it, you're in your teenage phase, but hey, have you thought about just, saying this or talking about this? So yeah, it does give the sort of adult perspective without like completely overriding it or undermining them either. It's just like, hey, before you spiral, this isn't all that complicated or too dramatic. It's just, you fucked up. Here's, a suggestion for how to fix your fuck up and then, move forward from there, which I think can provide some nice a nice break from that, because there were some times when Emily and I were watching it where she couldn't help but laugh a little bit when like the kids from the schools are interacting with each other, and they're like, "You're a disgusting savage," and it's like, okay, all right,
yeah. It, like you said, it definitely has some very clear Romeo and Juliet influence, and yeah, it kind of plays with the perspective of how dramatic life seems as a teenager, where your school rivalries might as well be Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, they might as well be life and death situations.
Yeah, right, exactly. And yeah, I think it does a good job of making you feel that from the character's perspective, but almost every point that it makes along the way is, why are you guys taking this so seriously? Like this,
yeah.
They're just normal people. They're fucking teenagers just like you. Why do you think that there's such a big gulf between the two of you? And then, obviously the point is to bridge that gap, and all of the characters interact with each other and realize that their preconceptions were fucking stupid. So yeah, it's very much about acknowledging how flawed that kind of othering can be, in the perspective of the kind of rich versus poor youth.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that develops, and they sort of bridge that gap, especially when you learn about the trials and tribulations of the characters that got them to their positions, like how he got in the quote unquote dumb school and she got into the smart rich school without actually being rich in things, and kind of how that will influence. And you can already see, at least as of the first 4 episodes, like the beginnings of some like cracks in at least her friends and how they feel about the dumb boy school kids, because she's hanging out with them, and it's just like, yeah, if you would just give them a chance and treat them like people, there's a decent chance that you would like them, or at least tolerate them and not think that they're just out to like rob you all of the time. So I'm looking forward to kind of how these like group dynamics will change too, not only with our 2 main characters, but then their friends, and how that will sort of ebb and flow.
Yeah, and they start on that from pretty much the beginning of the series, so
yeah,
you already know that everyone's growing in the same way.
Yep. Indeed. Alrighty. Well, I think we have time for one more here. So, how about we finish off? We've been talking about a lot of romance, a lot of melodrama, excessive alcohol consumption. How about
all the genres?
Yeah, pretty much the main genres of
the
anime
big
that
three.
exist. The big three.
Absolutely.
The big three, and how about we turn and talk a little bit to end the discussion for the evening on the ending of the To Be Hero series. So we'll hit the other genre, the superhero genre.
Fair. That is its own category at this point.
Yeah. So we'll get the food pyramid of anime here.
To Be Hero, I think it did a lot of cool, innovative stuff with its animation.
Mm-hmm.
At least in like the anime field, it went for that arcane Spider-Verse style of animation, and I think when it did that, it did it really well. This is one of those rare cases where like the 2D animated sections of the show were actually worse than the 3D animated ones, which is boggling most minds. But I think the thing that was tough about it is that it's a series that kind of is not an anthology, but like it's like a hero origin story for about 15, 16 characters. So the problem is the show is basically building up to this like ranking system for the heroes and like a yearly tournament for the heroes. But the problem is we have to like keep resetting and like relearning someone's backstory right up until almost the very end. We're learning about new characters to the point where you kind of lose out on the point of the overall plot, and like you kind of like lose steam on that. And I think the biggest dip for me was it was like around like episode like 15-ish. There was like a 4 or 5 episode arc that focused on like 3 or 4 of like the least interesting characters in the show, and they were all together in one arc, flashback arc. And I think it was her name was Lolly, Ghost Blade, and Little Johnny. And I think that flashback arc was like easily the worst, like easily like the least interesting of any of the heroes. And the fact that all of them were in one like span of episodes together like really dragged it. But which really sucks because that drag leads into like the final arc where you like finally really get to see who X is. And there's like a meta, almost like literal flip of the switch, a snap of the fingers where you realize like his power is literally like a meta shifting thing where he goes in between like 2D and 3D animation. Yeah. And it's like so cool. Like the last episode or 2 are just like so unique and like such a flurry of like awesome animation. And then you're like, oh wait, the whole flashback arc was done in like the 2D style because it was like before X. Mm-hmm. And then all the stuff from like the first 12 or so episodes was in this like post X timeline. And it was just like such a cool reveal, and like seeing how his powers work. And then it feels like, all right, we blew the X load, but now there's like almost a tease for there to be more, but not really sure. So I really enjoyed the first half and the last leg, but there was definitely a dip, and I think it might have helped if they did half the amount of origin stories and spent at least 6 to 12 episodes building on X or like the tournament more, and like fleshing out this main plot line with the heroes that they originally established. So I think it had a lot of potential and cool moments, but got bogged down a little in the midsection.
Yeah, I have very mixed feelings. Like, I could convince myself this was the best show of the season at times, because when it's good, it's so good. And yeah, everything you mentioned is just like the most interesting thing anime has done with animation in years. It's fascinating. It's so satisfying. But the majority of the series is just in a normal 2D anime style, and following all of these origin stories that, like we said, because it's such a huge ensemble cast, it is almost as much of a mixed bag as an anthology series, because it depends entirely on how invested you are in the individual characters, and certainly some are stronger than others in that regard. So it definitely spends the majority of its run not being as interesting as it shows you it's very capable of being. And yeah, all the last month or so of the series, everyone watching was like, how are we almost at the end here? It seems like we're just starting to tease like the whole point of watching it. So yeah, having those last few episodes was just such a tease of what could have been and what could still be, because it completely blows your mind with its animation experimentation and how that ties in on a metafictional level, and how it ties the whole series together, and just the structure in general of all the different arcs and how they take place in the timeline, and the different reels that pop up throughout that are all very fascinating as well, and they put a lot of effort into crafting this very complex web of events. So there's so much that I love so much about the series, but a lot of watching it week to week was just kind of seeing the least effective execution of its potential. And a lot of times it felt like, a decent, normal 2D superhero anime series, which is fine, but because the highs were so high, it made the rest feel, a little bit wasted, especially given how much time it had, how much it could have done with it, and what it ended up doing for the majority of its run.
Yeah, I think the real problem is that it kind of like treaded water on like what it wanted to be. I think it would have been much better for it to either fully commit to its like anthology style, or at least fully commit to like an overarching plot. Because if they did it in almost like a Space Dandy-esque, like give a director an episode and let them like do something crazy with this hero, that could have been really fun. Or if they honed in with this like really unique 3D animation style and kind of built around the Hero X ranking and tournament, I think it could have been a lot better too. So yeah, lots of potential that unfortunately didn't get met, but I feel like they could, I don't know if there was anything announced, but I feel like there could be more. So
yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, it basically puts you at the stage of now the big stuff is happening, and that's how it ends. So
all the stars are here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if the MCU ended like before Infinity War.
Yeah, it's like when they're all running in Wakanda and then like cut to black. And it's
right.
Like, well, we'll see you guys maybe never.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does kind of follow like the MCU pattern within the series, like you were mentioning, where it's very distinct stories at first. They don't have any overlap pretty much at all. You just know that there's a bigger world out there, and then gradually as the series progresses, it becomes more and more intertwined to the point that it's not really following a specific character anymore. It's just giving you like, the crossovers of these are all the characters we've introduced so far, and here's what they do together. But yeah, I think because it has so much to say and experiment with as far as animation styles, and does that so successfully when it wants to. Just if they could find an excuse in the story for each arc to have a different style, that would be just like, the bare minimum of how to keep it engaging, even if you're not as invested in individual characters or their stories, because it almost felt like that was going to be the case early on before you knew what the reason for the different styles was at the end, because you had the arcane style at first, and that had a lot more of other styles popping in here and there, some of which is also part of that plot reveal, and then you get a slightly different version of that style for the next arc, and then you get full 2D for the third arc, but then it just stays on that forever, and that loses a lot of steam because it started so different from anything else you see in anime. So yeah, if they had just given us something different aesthetically every few episodes, I think that could have been a huge boon to it as well. But it's great when it's great, and it has a ton of potential for more, and now that we know what the deal is with the story and what it's capable of, and we're in the present/future of the timeline, there could be a lot more opportunity of just playing with animation styles and aesthetics all over the place, and with the stage set as it is, with all the heroes being brought together and the big tournament and everything, and X being a proper character finally, they could go completely off the walls with that, and get to see some of these characters in different styles for pretty much the first time. So I definitely hope for more. It's clearly like it wants to be something big. It wants to continue. So I'm sure that if it was well enough received, which I feel like it was successful enough, that hopefully we'll get more in the future.
Yeah. No, it would be a huge disservice if it ended here. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
Especially since there's not like source material, which is always, something that's cool when you have a story that's new and you don't know what's coming and no one knows what's coming. But yeah, it definitely needs continuation even more at that point, because there's nothing you can fall back on if you want to experience the rest of the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so cool. Goddamn.
I know. That last episode was like, oh, this what you want? Okay. Sorry. It's over.
Yeah, that was like Spider-Verse level of the power of animation, what we can do with it, and how we can work that into the plot.
Well, a little disappointed to hear about that. It kind of, I don't want to say flop, but just had a little bit of a disappointing ending. But I know the concept was cool and well received, and I have a friend that was watching it as well and really enjoyed it, though. I haven't hung out with him for a while, so I'll have to pick his brain about what he thought about the ending of it next time I see him.
Yeah, I mean, the ending is the best part. It just, one, makes you realize the potential it had all along, and then two, demands that there is more. So I really want to recommend it to everyone, because it really does creative things with animation that I can't really point to any other anime that has done in the same way. So I still recommend it to everyone. Just know that a lot of it is not the super interesting aesthetics that it ends up playing with near the beginning and end, especially the end.
Yeah. Honestly, you could probably skip some of it. Like, if you really don't like it, just like skip the arc.
Yeah. Some of that stuff in the middle, especially since we don't have really like the payoff. Yeah. Once we
get a follow up
for
most of them.
Yeah. hopefully we get a follow-up and then it will all matter. But for now, if you just want to experience what sets it apart, then yeah, you could probably pick and choose the first few arcs and the last chunk and yeah, see what it's really going for in the end.
Hoping we have one of our typical clairvoyant moments and season 2 gets announced before the episode goes up.
Absolutely. You heard it here first. You heard it here last, actually. Yep. And again, this all came from a franchise that started with guy who gets superpowers.
Toilet man. Ugly toilet man.
Ugly toilet man. What a concept.
Yeah. What a glow up.
Yeah, seriously.
Alrighty. Well, I think it's about time we start wrapping some stuff up for the evening here. We've talked about a good handful of the shows. I know we didn't get a chance to cover what everybody wanted to talk about, but given the season just had so many, it was bound to happen. So, apologies to those who didn't hear what they wanted to hear, but sucks sometimes, you know? Life can be that way. But
I am mortally offended.
Yeah, you know what? That's fine. That's that. Consider it an endearing part of how I do these episodes. Is sometimes I'll just emotionally neglect you for an hour and a half.
Oh, the story of my life. Excellent. Love it.
Harsh.
But all right, we talked about the season, some news and stuff. So why don't we go round table here real quick, see if anyone's got any recommendations for stuff. Obviously, it doesn't have to be anime. It hasn't had to be just anime for many, many moons now. So, Kate, do you have anything that you would want to recommend? Either, you know, new season stuff, any other things that you've been kind of getting up to?
There's too many video games, and all the video games are good. And
all of them.
Yeah, well, a lot of them. It's bad. There are too many good games out there. Like, in the space of September, we had way too many fucking good games come out. And there's more on the horizon, so yeah. I don't even know. Everybody knows Silk Song is good but very tough.
Silk Song's real.
Silk Song is real, and it's my friend, but not really because it hates me. And Hades 2 came out for full release, got out of early access, so that is also out there, which is also very good and real, and probably is my friend, but I won't be able to play it for a long time, because my computer is old as dirt. And what else? I've been playing Hell Is Us, which is very good but very bleak. And if you're not in a good headspace, don't play that game, because the label is correct. Hell is us. We are hell. Damn. That new Silent Hill game is out, and that's supposed to be pretty damn good. The Ghost of Yote is supposed to be out this week, and that also got really good. There's too many fucking good video games. Go play a video game.
Very good. Mark, how about you? Anything to recommend to the folks out there?
Sure, I will jump off of that and also recommend a video game. Today, in fact, we saw the long-awaited re-release of Final Fantasy Tactics on any of your favorite systems. Cheap plug alert, I actually just reviewed that for Fandom Post that was posted earlier today. So, nice. But the re-release is very, very good. The enhanced edition, it comes with the classic edition. So if you know the original PlayStation version, that's there in all its glory. But the enhanced edition that's in it has some really nice quality of life upgrades. They've added full voice acting to the things, whole new script, auto save in battles, all sorts of stuff that just makes the game even much more smooth to play. But if you've never played it before, it's got honestly one of the best storylines in RPG history. I can't recommend it any higher.
I'm so excited for that game. It's easily like top 5 all time for me. So I've definitely been going down the rabbit hole of reviews. So I'll have to read your review because I mean I played the PS1 version, I played the PSP version, and I mean from what I hear, this is just like an amalgamation of like everything it needed to be and more. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with that. It's an excellent port slash remaster slash update, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
All right, Kestrel, how about you?
Man, I feel like I should play a video game. Especially that one. I never played Tactics.
It's good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Maybe I should check it out. I don't know. I'm feeling like not as overwhelmed with backlog as usual, so might be in the market for another video game. We'll see. Yeah, let's see. Like I said before, go to the theater, watch Demon Slayer, pump those numbers up.
Yeah.
And what else do I got? Well, I just got a fancy steel box collection of the Dark Knight trilogy for its 20th anniversary. So that's pretty cool. I have not yet watched One Battle After Another. I was out of town this past weekend. I'm watching it on Thursday, but I've heard great things, so hopefully I'll be able to wholeheartedly recommend it next episode. And also, I've not caught up yet, but since I heard the new Dexter series is so good, I went back. I had watched half of the original series a few years ago, so going back, making my way through that. So I'm looking forward to catching up and seeing what Resurrection is like. Yeah, that's a bunch of mostly not anime stuff.
Nice.
The first 2 Dragon Quest games are also getting a re-release in like a month, so
yeah. Looking forward to
check that out. Yeah,
Too many games.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've been waiting on the Dragon Quest 3 re-release from last year because I've been waiting for 1 and 2 to come out. So I'm looking forward to that.
I kind of had the same thought. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, somehow still an underrated franchise here in the West, despite the many games and remakes we've had. It always feels like people just don't talk about them in the same way that they talk about Final Fantasy and stuff.
Definitely,
Yeah.
especially since it has always been the biggest thing in Japan.
Yeah.
It's basically a national holiday anytime one of those games comes out.
Definitely. We'll get a new Gintama arc about it.
Poof. We will. Well, I will use my recommendations to I'll take the baton pass, Kestrel, and I will fully recommend One Battle After Another. Peak Paul Thomas Anderson cinema. A really fun movie, really exciting. It's one of those like 3-hour movies that doesn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
That's exactly what my friend told me.
Yeah, blistering. Like the pacing, it is just one battle after another. It keeps going and it keeps you locked in. It's really fun. And
so just
wild.
like Demon Slayer Infinity Castle.
Yeah, exactly. Do a double feature. Take 6 hours out of your day and go see both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also going to recommend Final Fantasy Tactics. It's so crazy that within like a month's time frame, like 2 of my top 10 games of all time got remade, with that one and Snake Eater getting a remake.
Mm.
Oh,
that one I'm less inclined about Delta. That one just seems more of just like a fidelity upgrade. But yeah. And then in the anime scope, since we didn't have time to talk about all of the shows we've been covering this season, I will wholeheartedly recommend City the Animation, Peak Kyoto Animation. It was a really fun show, just like smiling from ear to ear every episode. And then also My Dress Up Darling Season 2. Really cute. I liked Season 1, but like Season 2 was just like on another level. So like if you had any inkling of interest in the first season, Please watch the second season. It's so good.
I will absolutely second that.
Yeah. Cloverworks was definitely on fire this season.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll kind of crib off a little bit of the rest of the groups here, in that I just started playing Hades 2, and it's very, very good. So, especially if you already owned it previously, because it was in a playable state for much longer before the release date. But it's super good. Hits hard in all the right places. And then I would recommend with Brand 2, City the Animation. And I'm also going to recommend it, and this is going to sound weird, but shit, I would recommend it even if you don't like watch it. Like,
Whoa.
Don't even pay attention to it outside of like seeing it, because it's one of the most beautiful like storybook, like kids book animation things. There's so much creativity poured into it. Like, I honestly, as it went on, found myself not liking the humor very much, because I wasn't a fan of like everyone screaming all the time.
Or the thing where they're like breathing heavily.
Yeah, that stuff. I still like the slapstick, and I did like the one where they're yelling but whispering at the same time in the classroom. That skit from episode 6, I laughed a lot, but I was enjoying it purely just like from looking at it.
Yeah, it's a spectacle.
And how spectacular the animation is, and how creative their like scene transitions can be, and how, you know, all their interjections are, and it's just like it's such a robust like feast for the eyes. Like, even if you don't like the humor, I'd be like, fucking watch it as like an example of what incredible artists can create. Like, shit, I'd be like, chop it up into the ones that most people seem to like if you like slapstick, and just watch those and be impressed by the incredible nature of it, because it's really that. I think it's one of the best looking things I've seen in many moons, even compared to your darlings like Demon Slayer and stuff. Like, it just every like piece felt so deliberate in how they were designing scenes and animations, and people's thought bubbles turning into whole other scenes, or people getting like soccer balls kicked in their faces as they're in the middle of dreaming, but then the ball cuts through the dream bubble and hits them square in the face in slow motion, and all sorts of stuff. Like, it's just so good in that way. Like, obviously some people like Bran will like all of the humor and all it has to offer too, but like, yeah, fucking, even if you got to put it on mute because you just don't like any of that part, it's incredible to look at.
Yeah, the author's humor reminds me a lot of Gintama's, in that like they're firing off enough jokes that like they're not all gonna hit. Like, there's gonna be some that just don't make sense, or like honestly aren't funny, but yeah, it's just like such a visual feast, and most of the physical humor is funny.
Yeah. When it does that is when it's at its best for me, but obviously that you would get sick of having 25 minutes of slapstick probably.
Yeah.
Every week.
It's one of those shows that I can call a 10 out of 10, and like I didn't even like all of the jokes. It's just that good.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah. It was super good. Emily kept walking in the room, and she'd be like, "This looks a lot like the name was in my head of the last show with the Hakase and the cat that could talk with the scarf on.
Nichijou.
She's like, "This looks a lot like Nichijou," and then I'd tell her, "Yeah, it's because it's from the same people." And then she'd come in later, and she'd like, "This really does look a lot like Nichijou." Like, it is by the same people.
Yep, same.
Same thing, but yeah. So did enjoy it. Would recommend. But alrighty, well, just want to, as always, thank everyone for listening. So, Kestrel, why don't you tell them where they can find us, and then we'll call it for the evening.
Yeah, you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, fandompost.com, etc. You can find us on social media. You can follow us share our stuff, get in touch with us. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky. And you can also email us at fandompostradio@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKioma and Blue Sky at kestrelswift.bsky.social. Let's see, what have I put out recently? So, Anime NYC, I had a few interviews. Some of them are still pending approvals, but I have one with the producer of Star Wars Visions, so check that out. And yeah, I've got to figure out what I'm reviewing next season after we finish recording.
Awesome. Kate, how about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me at fandompost.com posting reviews of stuff. To Your Eternity is supposed to be back this fall, so I will be picking up reviews of that. The last episode of A Silent Witch should be this weekend, so my last review of that is coming up. Don't know if I'm going to pick up anything else for the fall season. You can also find me on Blue Sky, where I basically rant about things. That's about it. But not bad ranting. I keep my politics stuff to a minimum because it causes me stress. So
that's probably a good call.
Yeah.
Mark, how about you?
Excuse me. You can find my reviews on Fandom Post, where I just finished up in the summer season with My Dress Up Darling and Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus. This season, I'm checking out Yano Kun's Ordinary Days, My Awkward Senpai, and a Mangaka's Weirdly Wonderful Workplace. I'm not 100% sure if I'm actually going to pick any of them up, but I'm going to at least check them out and see how they go. And then, you can find me also on Blue Sky, mdthomas.bluesky.social, where honestly, mostly I just post about my reviews, because I am old and a social media curmudgeon.
Same.
You can find me at Hellshake Brando on most socials. Not reviewing anything right now. You can find me, unlike Kate, ranting on social media. So that's mostly what I'm doing on there nowadays. But otherwise, you find me here, and I don't know, maybe I'll review something again in the future. Who knows?
Excellent. And as always, you can find me just right here, ranting, raving, making terrible opinions, etc. So, yeah, excellent. Well, everybody, hope you enjoyed the season, and hopefully there's something coming up in the next one that catches your eye as well. And if not, well, you have plenty from this one to catch up on. So there is always going to be anime to watch. Yep. So enjoy the new season, and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.